All right, Delilah fans, yes, the finale is next week, episode 8. So this will be my penultimate episode review, season 1, episode 7, entitled Purple Empress. And I'll give this one a solid 8 out of 10. I think overall this had a good story. It really felt like we were progressing further in the case, but at the same time, I think the most jaw-dropping moment for me was that how the hell did 6 weeks pass since episode 1? Because Leah mentioned it in the episode to Delilah, like, you know what, I'm going to settle. I'm giving you 6 weeks. No, settling. What? I'm sorry, but 6 weeks. Look, it's funny because look, I think it's because of all the Tyler Perry shows I reviewed that I'm just not used to a show moving that fast. But 6 weeks have passed since episode 1. So has every episode been like 1 week? Is that what I'm missing here? Look, I'm not complaining. I'm not docking points because of that. I'm just baffled. That's how much time has passed since this whole thing started. I'm confused as hell. But in any case, let me just collect my thoughts here. Go ahead and like this video. Hit subscribe, click the bell notification icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post new content to the channel. And follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Again, I'm just floored. Okay, so Delilah's still, giddy over her, night with Jamal, from the wine to the dancing. She was in a whole mood, putting on that, salsa music. Dun, 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 dun. She got the good morning text and everything. Oh, I missed you. We had a great night. And remember, the kids aren't home. They're with the daddy. So, I'm sorry about that, yawning. I'm tired. Yeah, that's right, because her nephew is with his mama, her kids are with the, ex-husband. So yeah, she was having a good time, getting ready for to start her day. Mace comes in with breakfast, like, oh, okay, what's going on up here? You got the music going and everything. And, she's like throwing away the wine bottle. She had a great night. I ain't gonna lie, I was happy for her because I don't think we've seen Delilah this happy the entire show. I mean, I think, what was it, episode 1 or 2? Episode 1, everything to everyone. But it was good to have Delilah in a moment where, yeah, I had a special night just for me. That doesn't make her selfish because look at what she does for everybody else. But not to just stay on that point for too long. Mace comes in with breakfast and goes over the information about some suspicious wire transfers. And it's funny because as soon as I went to, like, what was it, the post office or whatever, there was a certain person who came to a very specific P.O. box to close out the account, and it was Cindy, Gary's widow. From there, Tamara wakes up, and Casey's not around. Apparently, he had a last-minute trip to go to Raleigh, and this was supposed to be a very big day for the wedding planning. We go over to Demetra and Harper, who kind of exchange glances, not mean glances, but, they had an awkward situation the day before, and, they have a moment to apologize, but, Delilah comes in, and when I tell you she came in on fire, she was like, hey, we got some new information about the whole thing about Cindy closing the account. She just gave like a Denzel Washington inspired speech about how we're not going to give up. We're going to find this evidence. We're going to get this thing. I'm like, damn, one night with Jamal was all it took. I mean, she was on, and it's like as soon as she was about to step off the stage from that rousing speech, Leah walks in. I come to settle. What? Look, anime comparison here. If you watch Dragon Ball Z during the Cell games when Goku and Cell were fighting and Cell put up the barrier to block Goku's attacks, and then Trunks was telling Krillin, give Goku a sensu bean. And then because Cell said he could do it. And then Vegeta's like, if you don't shut up, boy, say in pride, he's not going to give up. Vegeta's like, he's stronger than myself. We're not going to give up on his Saiyan pride. He's going to fight to the death. And then Goku's like, I quit. What? That's essentially how I felt. It's like Delilah came in. I mean, Demetra and Harper like, okay, boss lady. Yeah, we got this. Oh, yeah. Leah comes in. I'm trying to settle. What? Okay, so we go over to Tamar doing her wedding planning, and she's alone due to the fact that her fiance was supposed to be there, but, he's not. So it turns out Mr. Osborne, had called her about a settlement. And then we shift over to Delilah and Leah, and she is pissed. Apparently, it's big money. Big money. Leah authorized the wire transfers, and this is when she brings up the whole 6 weeks thing, because Delilah's like, give me 24 hours. I've given you 6 weeks. You owe me a day. I was mad at Leah, but as the episode progressed, because at first glance it's easy. This woman's selfish. She just wants money. I mean, to be fair, she even mentioned that way back in episode 1, but I love how Delilah dug deep with this. It's like, look, did he threaten you? And she was like, look, Fred basically said, I'm dirty in this. It's like all the paperwork that come to a day-to-day basis. I didn't know I was signed. Apparently, I approved all these wire transfers without knowing it. So basically, if this goes to court, I probably want to kill myself like Gary did, because I will be blown to pieces because she unknowingly played a huge part in this, according to Fred. So the question is, if you were Leah, what would you do in that situation? Because part of me was thinking, like, is Delilah doing this for justice, or is she only doing this? I mean, is she doing this to really help out Leah for, what's best for her? Or has this gotten too personal because her brother Nate was involved? That's where I feel like this is a huge conflict of interest. I mean, based on like real world principles. Like, hell, if you watch Tyler Perry's Sisters, go back to season 1, where Andy kept telling her boss Bellamy, like, look, I don't want to take the Jasmine Borders divorce case because of the fact that there's a conflict of interest, because I was the one having an affair with her husband, but she had to do it anyway for the firm, and then that blew up in her face. So I'm wondering if Delilah is allowing her own personal pull in this case, clouding her judgment, even though later on it turns out her senses were right. But I'm just saying, when your client says they want to settle, what are you supposed to do? So she says she's giving her one more day. All right. So then we go over to Jamal having sent Delilah some flowers, and Harper's like, hey, I'm going to follow up on getting those emails for you. Demetria is on that as well. She's going in. It's like, look, she basically has a contact to get a certain email from the Osbournes in order to help out with the case. And I'm like, man, she's on the job. And Delilah's like, hey, great job on that. We go over to Mason, Delilah going over the signatures and the wire transfers probably being fake. And we go back to Harper and Demetria, and they actually, I think Harper was like, hey, there's this show called People's Judge, and it turns out Cindy, I keep saying Sydney, I'm sorry, Cindy was on there at one point. So it's possible that she introduced, Rick to Fred, Gary to Rick. Basically, there's a lot of crap going on that she probably played a major role in. So Delilah gets a phone call while she's making dinner for the kids, saying, hey, there's some wine in the office. You two need to celebrate. This is a big step moving forward. So from there, we go over to Tamara coming by, and she has a list of mediators for the settlement case, because early on, even though Delilah kept saying, well, we need to get a moderator, so I need 24 hours. I don't want to moderate. I want to settle. Look, if you want the settlement, fine, we need to get these mediators set up for this meeting. Fine, okay, let's do it. So let me turn the page here. Okay, we get some good character development for Harper and Demetria mainly because Harper, we know her backstory. So she shares the story of her dead husband Esau. Apparently they were together for like 10 years. They had met on this Black Catholic app. And it turns out, even though she was swept off her feet, he started acting strange. And apparently it's because he had a brain tumor. So, they had split for some time. And apparently, unfortunately, he passed away. But the story was, because she thought that, the struggles of the marriage and everything, that stopped her from going to law school. But she went back to finish. Her story was to inspire Harper to do the same. Look, I'm sorry for what happened to you. I know that hurt and it makes you feel like you missed your chance, but I think you should go back and get your degree. That was a nice moment. So then we go over to Mace and Hannah, who was the person in the preview who I didn't know who it was because it was a completely new character. Hannah's like his partner in this, and basically they need to work hard to find, these emails, these signatures to get all the information possible. And Hannah's like, hey, I know you work close with Delilah, but I have somebody who needs a head of security, and I recommended you, so you might want to, talk to him. Like, no, I'm not doing that. Hey, I'm just saying, no, I'm not doing that. But Okay, just promise me to talk to her. I'd really appreciate it. So then we go over to Delilah and Tamar talking about mediators. I think Tomoka was the name of the judge they have to mediate the settlement meeting. And Delilah, Delilah doesn't mince words whenever it comes to, like, Christine and her brother Nate. But in this situation, of course, Casey up and leaving randomly to go to Raleigh the day of a big planning day for the wedding. Something isn't right. So it turns out there's some proof of Fred, or I'm sorry, actually, regardless of if there is a settlement or not, Delilah tries to get Tamar to promise, could you at least please get proof of Fred not firing Leah due to poor job performance? Probably in the case of if Leah tries to get another job, that won't be a bad reflection on her resume. From there, Mace comes in, because right when it seemed like Tamar and Delilah were, about to agree to disagree on the settlement, Mace comes in and finds out, hey, we found it. The wire transfers with Leah's signature, they're fake, because the dates don't match up. These were months old. So basically, Fred was telling Leah a cover story. And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, but Delilah's like, whoa. You coming here defending, Fred and everything, talking about Gary might not be a victim. Did he sleep with you? Probably did. And it's funny because look at how Delilah's demeanor was different this morning, and all she did was have a great night with Jamal. But then, did they have sex? I don't know. Possibly. They did. There were like 2 or 3 wine bottles she had to throw away. So you never know. You never know. So yeah. So I get it. And honestly, I kind of feel for Leah, because imagine working for a big company like that, who stages break-ins and threatens you and whatnot, and you find out other people in this situation have been killed or they killed themselves, and then they come to you with this, not just the big offer for a settlement, but with all this quote-unquote convincing information that, hey, you're dirty too. There are plenty of times where you sign wire transfers, and it's like, oh my God, I really did that? So part of me, I was pissed off when Leah was telling Delilah, I gave you 6 weeks and this and that. And I'm like, this goes back to episode 1 when Tamar told Delilah she's never been a trustworthy friend from college, so why should you trust her now? I honestly felt that way for most of the episode. But then when I really thought about it as the episode went on, I can see why Leah is acting the way she is, because at first glance, like, man, this tramp is selfish. She's just a troublemaker, having affairs. She just wants to make millions. But when you look at the situation she's in, I honestly can see why Leah is reacting to this the way she is. Like, look, I just want to settle. I just want to get this over with. I can completely understand that. All right, so once Tamar hears this, like, wait, what are you talking about? It's not fake. It's like, yeah, we got the proof for it. And then Delilah's like, nope, there's no settlement. And she's like, well, Delilah, you don't have a case. You don't have any plaintiffs. Like, look, I can get my brother and probably dozens of other people who are injured by those exploding equipment. And then Tamar just up and leaves. So we got Cindy. Thank God I caught myself. Cindy, they're meeting, and she tries to deny the fact that, she had any involvement in this. She basically was like, I don't know, Gary's project is his problem. I don't know what you're talking about. But then she brings up the people's court thing about, oh, wait, you're the one who connected Rick to Fred. And then basically saying, look, Cindy, tell us what you know, what role you played. My father's the chief of police. We can get you protection. I don't know, because remember when Delilah's dad tried to look into it, one of those older police officers was like, hey, in this city, if people sniff around too much in the wrong places, people get hurt. So I'm just saying, who's to say that if the chief of police puts Cindy under police protection, corrupt officers won't be the ones watching over her? Osborne has a lot of pull. Was he donating like a fleet of body armor to the cops of the city? So, I know Delilah isn't, lying to make Cindy tell the truth, but I don't think she knows how corrupt things are. Not to mention, going back to what Leah was saying earlier, Delilah's like, look, you owe me a day. I put so much blood, work, and tears. I got arrested for you. You need to allow me 1 day. So I can see both sides of this. All right, so basically she admits to the fact that, hey, I was the one to introduce them. And then when she's about to leave, Leah stops by, and apparently Cindy and Leah know each other, but only in passing, because the day before Gary died, Leah stopped by with a bunch of baby clothes and whatnot from, Fred and everything. And it's like, wait a minute, why did you stop by after you were fired? It's like, look, I had known them for weeks, and the fact that, no, I had been the secretary for years, and at the time they didn't have a replacement, so I was like the closest person to just go by and drop all the stuff. And then Delilah ends it with just a bomb. Leah, did you have anything to do with Gary's murder? Because I'm just like, oh shit. Because remember they said, what did she say? Like, Cindy said his prescription or whatever came in the mail or was delivered. So could Leah have brought the prescription with her with the baby clothes and whatnot, not knowing that those pills were probably laced and that's why he died and overdosed? It's funny because I try to give Leah the benefit of the doubt, but she is withholding a lot of information, which could be crucial. So we'll just have to wait and see. But this was a really good episode, guys. And hopefully the finale, I honestly don't know how far the finale will cover. Like, will this specific case be over and done with? And then as we move into season 2, will they do a new case? Because I think Demetria had some magazines or paperwork with a bunch of other cases in North Carolina, but Delilah's like, hey, I understand you're being eager to get more cases on the table, but let's finish up this big one first and we'll get to the other ones. But in any case, yeah, this was a solid episode. I think it did a great job of developing other characters who just kind of made sporadic appearances throughout the series, and yeah, this was good. But let me know your thoughts on Delilah episode 7, and remember, we got one more left. And as soon as we get the trailer for the season finale, I will do my breakdown. And if you would like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App.